What's up, guys? This is Andy from the Football Card Quest, and you're watching the Sports Card Strategy Show on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network. Be sure to check out FootballCardQuest.com for in-depth football card research and selling tips, because we all know there is no off-season.
What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with NoOffSeason.com. You are consuming the Sports Card Strategy Show, brought to you by Graybo's Sports Cards. Graybo's Sports Cards is a local hobby shop owned by Gray Burnett, Ryan Fitz, and Duke Denny one-time Dodson, and is located in the Arts District in Richmond, Virginia. Graybo sports the best selection of raw and graded singles in the Mid-Atlantic and a wide variety of wax. Graybo's breaks on Whatnot and or Drip 5 nights a week. Listeners of Sports Card Strategy can receive a 10% discount from Graybo's on Drip, Whatnot, or their website at graybos.co by entering the code STRATEGY2023. You can follow all of Graybo's news and updates on Instagram at Graybos_cards. Don't forget to go premium at NoOffSeason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today to help you build your sports card investment portfolio. We have just launched Sports Card School at NoOffSeason.com. Check it out at SportsCardSchool.com. All of the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from Market Movers. Get a free 14-day trial followed by 20% off for life by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON at marketmoversapp.com today. And now, it's time for the strategy that you've all been waiting for. Here are your hosts, Paul Hickey, Kendall, the Lefty McKee, and Dr. Crack, Chad Guell. Take it away, guys. What's up, everybody? We're 5 strong today. We got myself, Paul Hickey, with NoOffSeason.com, Kendall, the Lefty McKee, Dr. Crack, Chad Guell, Connor Barnett, head of content at NoOffSeason.com, and the one, the only, Duke Denny one-time Dodson, owner of Graybo's Sports Cards in Richmond, Virginia, and they are taking over the world. Duke Denny one time. Good to have you in the house, my man. How you doing?
There's quite a bit of awesomeness in this room. I got to admit, a lot of good people here. Very excited.
We are very excited to have you guys. It's exciting because we're going to talk about, were we right about the NBA in-season tournament being a selling marker for basketball cards? It's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, rather. We're going to do a little data analysis of that. And then we had some big hot stove movement, Lefty McKee. We had some big hot stove stuff to talk about to warm us up during the winter here. So we'll talk about learning from these big player movements in the MLB and how to use future potential player movements and trades as selling markers to potentially buy now. Like what's coming up in the future that we can look at. But first, we're going to get into some live chat love. So it's good to see all of you in the live chat here at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. For those of you listening on the podcast apps, we love you as well. And you can hit us up on the Discord at sportscardstrategy.com or on Instagram at sportscardstrategy. Chad Guell in the house, Brian Steeler 714, Janelle Shue, Adrian Charlie, Shane Graham, Joel Kaplan. Good to see you, my man. Barry Siff, Derek Koonsman, Mark D, Drzinski, and Greeny Green in the house.
Hey, let's go.
Greeny Green, I think, was live chat number 1 back in the day. So it's good to see Greeny Green here on episode 112 of the Sports Card Strategy Show. So we appreciate all of you in the live chat. Again, if you're listening on the podcast apps, we love you too. So feel free to get over to youtube.com/Paul Hickey, leave a comment below, and we will reply. All right, guys, I'm gonna pass it over to Lefty for his L of the week, because I don't even have an L of the week. How about that? So there we go. Lefty, take it away, man.
I almost had to manufacture an L of the week because we've just been rolling here at the Sports Card Strategy Show. But there has been an L that's just not normal. And I think there's too many good buys right now, and my patience is wearing thin on waiting for the right cards. And I ended up even getting some awesome cards this week, and still it's an L because there are so many great opportunities. And so it's kind of like a backwards compliment that you're that you get from your mom sometimes or something. Like it's like, oh, there's too many good opportunities. There are plenty of times in the hobby where there's no good buying opportunities. So it's really not even a fat L, but I do have to remain patient. I do have to remain, just like with laser focus. And I guess if my 1L, I'm going to talk about Shohei in a little bit. I ended up buying some Shohei cards last week, and they were not in my possession when the trade happened. So that is a small L, but I'll talk more about Shohei in a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's a good one because, one of the themes of today's show is going to be, again, how to use future potential trades or player movement as selling markers to buy now. And that is a downfall of, not being prepared to sell at the right time because maybe you don't have the cards in hand. So we didn't know exactly when this movement would take place. In fact, I think we were talking about it a couple months ago. We've talked about this Shohei movement for a long time now. So all of you have had ample opportunity, unless you're just joining us for the first time here on the Sports Card Strategy Show. And if you are, welcome in. But all of us have had ample opportunity to prepare for the Shohei move. But I remember, Lefty, we thought it could be early January, right? So this was like a month earlier than we thought. So yeah, that's definitely an L.
But I think I had to be talking about patience. I had to be patient on my Shohei plays, and I was content not buying in before the trade before him signing his free agent contract, unless I found like a really good situation. And so I was still throwing bids out on auctions, just seeing, like if, hey, this is my top dollar, and I would go and bid on like 15 of them saying, okay, this is my top dollar. If they go above that, that's fine. And there was a couple of them that I was able to snipe because they ended late at night, and I got super deals on them. So I'm happy about having them. But they are, I'll just, blow it a little early, but now it's $100 more than when I bought it a week and a half ago. The 2013 pitching Chrome card we've talked about, or 2016 pitching PSA 10 Chrome card. It's $100 more than what I paid for it. Like, I would love to have that on eBay right now. But
yeah, absolutely. Now, the good news with Shohei is that there's going to be more selling markets,
absolutely.
right? He's one where we liked this buy low opportunity in November and December for this reason, because even if you miss this selling window, and we sent out a sell alert for those of you who texted sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. We'll get into much more of this in our sells of the week segments here, but yeah, could be a short-term L, but still a long-term dub for you. So that's good.
Oh yeah. I'm very happy with my positions, very happy with what I have in my possession as of this week. But I didn't get to capitalize on the absolute spike of him becoming a Dodger. My favorite place, by the way, of where he could have signed in the offseason. Think it's a great opportunity for him.
I agree with you on that. I agree. We're aligned, especially given our show notes today. Lefty and I are aligned on a lot of stuff these days, which is great. But $1 out of 15 cents in the live chat. Hello to you. Sup, Luke Menkel. And don't forget, everybody, to drop your L's and dubs in the live chat right now. And Connor's going to get to them later in the show. Over to Dr. Crack for your L of the week, man. What do you got for us?
Well, much like Paul Ramsey, I don't have an L this week, but I did do. I'm on the verge of an L for next week. I pulled a Paul Ramsey and I listed 5 or 6 football cards on 7-day auctions, and they end tonight. I did it last week Monday, and I didn't want to shorten up the thing to have them end on Sunday. But one of them was I put a pretty good Jalen Hurts silver card on there, thinking that with the Cowboys last night, after they went and schmucked the crap out of Mike McCarthy, that I would get some good rise after the big W on my silver Hertz card, and now it just hurts.
Nice.
I don't think it's going to come anywhere near what I needed it to. So I think next week my L is going to be it hurts.
Yeah, the Eagles are in a little lull right now, of course, and the Cowboys are hot. I want to get into that for sure coming up, because Jalen Hurts definitely not getting hot at the right time right now. But it could be that we're still with the 18 weeks in the regular season now. It could still be that there's plenty of time before the playoffs start, and maybe he does get hot at the right time for real. So Justin Stewart in the house, good to see you. Duke, Denny, one time. I don't think you've been on the show since I've got this new nickname that the audience has coined for me. They've called me the Dave Ramsey of sports cards now. So I don't know if you're familiar, but what's your take on the nickname?
That is as accurate as it could be. So I'm come from the real estate world, right? Read all the real estate books, and there's no right or wrong way to make a living in real estate, but he's the risk-free way, which I would put. You love the risk-free method of buying sports cards, so that's a great nickname.
Yeah, Rusty and McGart came up with it, and now it's just like it's stuck. So now I'm Paul Ramsey. But Duke, you've got an L of the week, man. Talk about it.
Yeah, so I think we all here I think we all agree that buying singles, I say, is like playing poker, and ripping wax is like playing blackjack. You can win, but in the long term, you rip a lot of wax, you're going to lose. And every now and then we forget that as sports. I love ripping wax here and there for fun, but we had a big. We only had one case of 2022 flawless football in the shop, and we bought it only because we had this one big guy who comes through a lot and buys the biggest thing in the shop, and he's been out of the market for a bit, so it's just been sitting there. We're looking at each other like, who's going to buy this damn thing? So we had another customer come in. We call him Mikey Bangers because he brings in big cards for us to buy or trade with. And so Mikey was sitting there talking about how he does bigger breaks online. And so I floated the idea, hey, let's split the box 50-50. That way, as a shop, we get at least half of the value, and then maybe we hit something, maybe we don't. So he loved the idea. We ripped it, and we whiffed like a $6,000 box. We probably hit about $1,500 worth of cards, and which you do that way more than you hit the $13,000 Brock Purdy. So we hit a couple of things here and there, and we moved it at the Raleigh show this weekend, but we did not recoup our costs on that flawless rip. So I told Mikey Bangers, I was like, I hope you and I had collectively about $4,500 worth of fun, because we only got $1,500 worth of cards.
Hey, it's good to know that, ripping wax can still be fun, and you can still maybe make some flips, even if you're not recouping your whole cost. So I think, what's interesting about ripping wax is we've had some of our listeners reach out directly and talk about some breaking strategies that they have. We talk about breaking not being a sports card strategy, but we know you guys over at Graybo's are breaking, and we're starting to hear ways where you can get into some breaks and actually have some strategy to it and make some money. So look for that content coming potentially at Sports Card School. But Duke, how are the breaks going with Graybo's? How's that side of the business?
Breaking is going well. When you're starting something, you're starting from the bottom and you're trying to work your way up and gain customers and gain followers, trying to figure out how you're different, right? Like, why are you different than the other 100 people on Whatnot? And we're trying to eventually get on Fanatics Live as well to do breaks, but right now it's just Whatnot. And they're growing steadily. Like, we're getting a lot of our local customers who come to the shop, and we build a relationship with them. And so that's how we stand out to them, is they know us. The same people you see in the shop are the same people breaking at night, and the customers love to come in and interact. The ones that can't always make it into the shop can hang out with us a couple of nights a week. So we're now trying to figure out, from a marketing, promotion, boosting standpoint, how to keep gaining followers, so that just like anything, if you have 10 people in the room, the break goes okay. If you have 25, it goes better. If you have 100, it goes really well. And we're averaging in our shop 10 to 15 on most nights, and we have to do something special. We'll get like 25 in there. And so, but there's a lot of people breaking, right? So like I'm actually right now in Colonial Beach, Virginia, which is an hour and 15 minutes from Richmond, and the whole Graybo's crew is driving up here as we speak. So you may get to see them. They'll probably pop in as we're finishing up because the shop is closed today. So we're up here for 2 days doing strategic planning, our annual planning. So we're going to spend 4 hours today talking about breaks and how we get to be great at it and not just average at it. So hopefully in the next 3 months you'll see constant improvement, constant changes to the breaking, the look, the feel, the breakers, the whole entertainment value of it. We hope to get better and better at it.
That's awesome. We look forward to those updates, and definitely follow Graybo's on Whatnot. And if you aren't on Whatnot yet, go to whatnot.sportscardstrategy.com and get your first $15 for free off your first purchase. $15 off of your first purchase is a better way to say that. And then make sure you go follow Graybo's and us, No Offseason. So nooffseason.com/whatnot will get you the quick link to follow us. Make sure you follow Graybo's and get that first $15 off your first purchase. Whatnot.sportscardstrategy.com. Speaking of ripping wax, Craig's Cards 11's in the house. He's ripping some Bowman Draft. That's awesome. Speaking of Bowman Draft, we're going to talk about that in next week's show. So next week's show is going to be dedicated to Bowman Draft. So get pumped about that. Bruce Hollandrake in the house. Good to see you, Bruce.
Did y'all get any boxes of that in the shop, Denny?
Yeah, we will definitely get some of that. And I'll let you know pricing as soon as I know it. Okay, my man?
Thank you, sir.
Direct supplier to Lefty. All right. So Duke, you mentioned the Raleigh card show a minute ago. Talk about your wins of the week. I see that in your show notes.
Yeah, you guys were talking about finding deals out there, and you guys have been talking for the last couple months how this time of year is a great time to buy, and we found that at the show. It was our best buying show so far. Burbank, back in August, was our best selling show year to date, and I think we've done 11 shows now this year. And so Seto came back yesterday, all excited about all the deals we got. You usually get excited about you want more money than you started with. This one, net cash flow is out, but you got to remember every time you make a purchase at the right price, your inventory is building, and so he was very excited about that. Card shows are great, man, because for us, because we can get this inventory that isn't abundant in Richmond and bring it to Richmond for our folks. And then the stuff we buy in Richmond that nobody wants, we get to go to these different cities and move product. And card shows are tough. It's travel. It's long days. Like Seto worked on Saturday 10 hours, no breaks, no bathroom breaks. He just grinded for 10 straight hours because the table was busy. But, even though like the economy's down and some values are down, when you go to a big card show and you see other people there, it just gets you reinvigorated about the hobby, because there's a lot of people at these things buying and selling and transacting and, just showing love for the hobby.
Yeah. And Lefty made a good point too about the market really not being down when you look at ultra modern stuff. I mean, the market is super strong when you look at active players, and, it's easy to use data to paint whatever picture you want it to look like, right? So I agree with what you're saying there in terms of just the amount of action in the hobby right now is off the chain. So great to hear that things went well at the Raleigh show for you guys. Props to Seto for grinding it out. That's awesome. All right, so let's get back over to Dr. Crack Chad Guell for his win of the week. Chad, you've got 1 million plus cards in your collection. There's a lot of wins in there, so talk about it.
Yeah, so I have a lot of cards in my collection, and when you have that many cards in your collection, sometimes when a player pops off, you have to kind of go digging through your boxes. And in 2019, I bought a lot of Prism Draft just because I liked the classes that were coming out, both basketball and football. And I've got probably, 30 or 40,000, maybe 50. I got I got a lot of Prism Draft football cards. So anyways, after Jake Browning went off, I thought, you know what? I wonder if I have any Jake Browning cards. So I dug through the boxes and I found 2 silver Prism autos. Put them on eBay with Buy It Nows for $150, and they both sold on Sunday after they won yet again. So from the scrap heap to $300, that is a W for me. Loving me some backup quarterbacks.
Chad, is that why you were texting me talking trash about some quarterback that used to play for the Packers? I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand where that was coming from. Something
I figured it would all tie together this morning when you saw my W.
So Chad was texting me about Joe Burrow potentially being a quote unquote system quarterback, like I said that Jordan Love's predecessor was, because Jordan Love's playing so well this year, and of course he was kidding. So everybody don't go slam and troll Dr. Crack for talking smack about Joe Burrow. He was just messing with me, but I like that, so I wanted to acknowledge it.
You've got Joe Burrow on the sidelines, though, just not understanding what kind of absolute protection that Jake Browning has got when Joe was running all over the dang field to try to get the ball out. It's crazy. It doesn't even look like the same line.
So Chad, the prices on these, they're pretty insane. Like, you went back into your boxes, like you said, and you put them on eBay and you got buy it nows for $150 after the win. Two buy it nows for $150, so $300 total just off of just going back through your dollar boxes. Like, how did you even remember that you had Jake Browning cards?
I had no idea if I had any Jake Browning cards. I just knew I had a lot of 2019. I didn't even know when Jake Browning got drafted. I'm going to be honest with you. I had to look it up. I went on eBay and I'm like, what is Jake Browning's rookie? I wonder if I have any of these things. And I saw 2019 Prism draft and I'm like, I got a crap ton of 2019 Prism draft. I'll bet you I've got one. So Harley, John, and I and Xavier started sorting through, because there's a lot to sort. You got those 5,000 card boxes, and I think I've got 15 or 20 of them. So I got a lot of Prism draft. And I said, I got this box. Xavier, you got this one. Harley, John, you got this one. And we just took us about an hour and a half to go through all the boxes, and we came up with two of them. Now, I might want to go through again, because I'm not 100% sure that Xavier would have caught all the Jake Brownings. But we found two silver autos, which I thought was cool. So from the scrap heap to $300, I'll take that all day long.
I think we might need to give something special away to any Sports Card Strategy Show listeners who've flipped Jake Browning cards over the last couple of weeks. What do you think, Lefty? Put a comment below on youtube.com/Paul Hickey if you flip some Jake Browning cards, and we might need to do a little giveaway.
I'm all in on that, and I want to know: did you give your boys an allowance for being the labor involved with the $300?
So funny thing was, they got all of it. They each got $150, and they're like, "Can we go to Target and buy some cards?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." I said, "There's no hobby boxes at Target," and they're like, "Whatever. This is free money anyways. Let's just go rip the crap out of some blaster boxes." And I'm like, "Okay." So they each ended up, I think, with 6 NBA hoops and Upper Deck Series 1 hockey blaster boxes. So I think we got 12 blaster boxes for the money. And we got them home, and they're like, let's wait till Christmas morning to rip them, because I'm sure Dad's going to buy us some more. So I don't have their patience. I'd have ripped them things open already, but both of my kids want to wait till Christmas morning so we can have a day of ripping. So good for them.
That's phenomenal. Flipping Jake Browning into some new NBA hoops blaster boxes. That's great. Hopefully there's some Wembies in there. But speaking of NBA hoops, Lefty McKee on the Sports Card Strategy Show a couple of months ago, we talked about the NBA in-season tournament potentially being a selling marker in early December.
Yeah.
Your W of the week is a guy that I don't think reflects this any better. Talk about this guy in your W of the week. Break it down for us, man.
Absolutely. I think everything about the in-season tournament was a win, except for the on-court court design. Just horrific viewing experience. But just to be clear, Adam Silver did talk about how that was the rushed part of the tournament, and then they will have different court designs next year. So at least they addressed it already. But we talked about how this in-season tournament could have teams in it that would try to put on a show that were younger. And Connor and I believe Connor brought it up first, talking about how there were teams in it that were going to show off and then that you wouldn't expect. I think Toronto Raptors were one that I was talking about. I said the Thunder might have an opportunity to go deep in this run. And I don't think I would have ever mentioned the Indianapolis, Indiana Pacers. So
you don't even know the name of their.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on here. It's the closest NBA franchise to where I live, and I've never even considered going to a game until last week because Tyrese Haliburton, I have been slamming this drum for the last couple of weeks, and his prices on his silvers are up $100 from when I started talking about him last, 2 weeks ago. His rise has been incredible, and I think the win for Haliburton is he is a player worth following, and I don't think necessarily he is a sell now. You can sell now if you would like to recoup some of the investments that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Definitely a great opportunity for a quick flip. But I think this guy is going to take the SGA track into being a very high usage rate, high efficiency, high assist to turnover ratio player that is going to turn this Indiana franchise into a mock contender. I think they're going to be a team that people expected Miles Turner to be traded by now. And now he's on a team that now he fits right in. It makes sense that they kept him. And so Tyrese Haliburton is destroying the markets. It's been impossible to try to find a Prism Silver that is affordable. There's 4 or 5 of them that were listed at $650, $700 online for buy it nows. And I was chatting with every single one of them last week saying, I will pay $50 over comps. And they said, no, you're going to pay $100 over comps if you want this card. And I was like, I just can't do that. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to hold. And then they all sold. And so it's they were props to those guys.
You were both on the right track. You were trying to get it to flip it to make the money that they ended up making. So you guys were all right about this, which is incredible. Yeah. And I've learned so much from you and Chad over the last couple of months. Just we've been doing this show together for a long time, but just in the last 2 months, I've learned so much from you and Chad, just thinking differently about NBA cards, right? Because we had the whole discussion. I think the last time Duke was on the show, there was a little debate about when I sold my cards, did I sell too early during that first week of the NBA season and things like that. And there are just so many different ways to make money flipping sports cards, especially with the NBA. And the NBA is tricky to figure out. But I think you're right about Haliburton, because last week, before the Pacers even made it into the finals of the in-season tournament, we were talking about Haliburton having a sell marker for the All-Star game. If he's a starter in his hometown, that could be an even bigger spike than what we saw with him getting into the in-season tournament final game, championship game against the Lakers. So definitely a win for, people getting into Haliburton, getting in and out of Haliburton, transacting with Haliburton. I think it's a win both ways, because if you're selling for a profit. And if you're buying with a marker, looking at potentially with the All-Star game. So, also I want to say props to Oh My Shoes. I was going to try to wait. I think Connor will probably do this also in the L's and dubs, but Oh My Shoes bought a ton of Austin Reeves cards. And if you go back and watch the sports card strategy show and tells from this past summer, it is just a ridiculous amount of Austin Reeves cards. And, we'll take a look at his pricing here in a second, but Austin Reeves sure as heck had an amazing first half in the championship game. So you just never know what's going to happen with this in-season tournament. And I think it was definitely a win. It's one of my wins of the week as well. Just us calling it as a selling marker. We called it in September. We didn't really know exactly who it would be a selling marker for, but again, it's all about acquiring the right cards for the right player at the right time, and then having them being ready to list for sale. So
I think, are you going to get into the church for Austin Reeves?
Well, I've got it. I've got Austin Reeves. Yeah, we're going to do that later.
I was going to say, I think there's something to learn here from Austin Reeves, but might not be where you're heading with it.
Okay, we'll break it down in the sells segment, and I would love you to chime in when I talk about Austin Reeves coming up. So good stuff there, Lefty. Lefty, anything else? I don't want to rush you out of your win of the week. Was there anything else you had to add for that?
Yeah, I think I did want to mention draft pre-orders have hit people's homes, and we're seeing some people open their pre-order boxes. And most of the boxes that I've seen are getting destroyed. Like people are coming back with like 3 pitcher autos and nothing. But I think there is some wins in this product that I'm excited about. And the win of the week as well is that next week is Bowman Monday is what I'm determining we call the show. And we are going to be covering this Bowman draft and paying attention to, okay, this is Bowman draft launch week, like the one ahead of us, it's technically tomorrow. So the next time that we will be doing it is next Monday. And I think that there will be players on this checklist that we will look at differently than we've looked at in the past. I think last year and the year before that, we were like, don't buy any singles when they come out. And then we've seen some data recently that would say, okay, well, maybe there is some question about some of that thing, depending on the player. But also we're going to dive into people in the Bowman draft 2022 and 2021 and seeing where there is, meat on the bone per se. But I think it's Bowman draft week. Love Bowman draft, favorite product in the hobby for sure. And it's always an exciting time when those hit the floor for the first time. So I'll have more intense breakdown in relation to how this impacts our current list at nooffseason.com and our prospect ranking list. And what I'll do is I'll have that updated before next week. But I also do think there's I'll give a little teaser. There's Tom Brady cards. Brady cards in this Bowman set, and the unlicensed Tom Brady Expo cards are selling for $10 to $15 a piece. So I think that is not a fluke. I think it is not just a marketing ploy. That is a chase card, I believe. Unlicensed Tom Brady selling for 10 to 15. So a licensed Tom Brady Chrome with autos saying like inscriptions saying like maybe I should have picked baseball or all this stuff. Like Brady's just having fun with it. And then my favorite card continues to be Wyatt Langford, and not because he's a Ranger, but I'll break all that down next week. So,
yeah, I love it, Lefty. You just nailed it when you said, we got to break this down because things are changing a little bit. We always typically say, that there are guidelines, and then you use a bunch of guidelines to put together a strategy and then make plays off of that strategy. And one guideline that we always talk about with just about every sports card release out there is to wait like 3 to 6 months after the release comes out before you start buying the singles. Well, one of the reasons why we're doing Bowman Monday next Monday, Bowman Draft Monday, is because there may be an exception to that guideline, right? Because when we start to analyze the data, we may uncover some different things. So stay tuned for that. It's one of the main reasons why I love what we do so much is because there are so many different ways to make money flipping sports cards. That's what we're here to help you do. And in terms of my win of the week, one of the ways that I determined I was going to make money as the Dave Ramsey of sports cards was to buy into a player that I believe is safe because of his last name, and that is Arch Manning. So my win of the week is going to be a portion of my Arch Manning play. And it's exciting because typically what I do is when I get a grade reveal back from PSA, I typically throw that into my win of the week. And then what you do later is you hear from me on when I actually sold those cards, because then I have the sales data and I break down, okay, how much did I actually profit based on the entire play? But this is a little preview of where I'm at with my Arch Manning play, a little foreshadowing, but I do have an update. So I did get a 24 item submission back from PSA. In that submission were 14 total Arch Manning cards. The submission overall out of the 24 items had 6 10s and the rest 9s. So overall, not a bad gem rate. Of the Arch Mannings, 5 were 10s and 9 were 9s. So I would have loved it to be the other way around, but still not bad. And so right now, if I were to sell those Arch Manning cards, I would profit about an average of $20 per PSA 9. And the average profit margin on the PSA 10s would be about 3x. So I won't give like all the numbers and everything yet, because I'm going to do that when I end up selling those cards. But for now, I'm feeling pretty darn good about my Arch Manning play. Now, for those of you wondering, they didn't include the Scotch Tape Bandit Prism Throwback base cards, and they were only 2 10s out of, I believe, 15 total of those cards. So, or 10, sorry, it was 10 total of those cards. So there were 2 10s and 8 9s, which is not a great gem rate, especially considering they should all be 10s, but they had some child labor, according to Chad Gill, just, tossing those things into top loaders. Really hard. They threw them into top loaders and then they put Scotch tape on them, but 8 of them still got 9s, 2 of them got 10s. And I would still be profiting $20 per 9 on those, which I think is a credit to Arch Manning, right? Because he didn't even really play. So I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. Rose Zhang SI for kids card got a PSA 8, and it looks like the PSA 9 Pop 1 sold for $162, best offer accepted, and that was the selling price, $162. So based on that, I could probably sell the Zhang for around $100. That's not a bad flip for about $19, $20 into that card. Although I think I'm going to wait until golf season when she's actually playing a little bit more.
When is golf season?
Well, golf season, I think Connor can kind of correct me here, but I think golf season is actually like year round. But I would consider golf season to really be
like around the Masters,
launching in around March, April. But Connor, what do you consider golf season?
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on, Paul. It is pretty much year round. We're technically starting the golf season at the moment. They'll kick things off in Hawaii. Well, they really kick things off with Tiger's Hero World Challenge, but we'll have a couple Hawaii events during the colder months, and all the top players will probably play in those. And then they'll take a little bit of time off, kind of have their off season per se, and get ready for major season. So in my mind, real golf season is major season. So like Lefty's saying, we're just getting ready for Augusta, really.
Nice. All right, my next win of the week is the cards in my eBay vault, and I think this is pretty cool. So for those of you who are familiar with the eBay vault, when you're purchasing cards on eBay, some of them are vault eligible, and you'll see a little icon there telling you it's vault eligible. Typically, it's going to be a graded card that is over a value of $250. And then when you're selecting your shipping address, you can select ship to my eBay vault. And I elected to do this for a few of the higher dollar cards that I purchased recently. And as I look at it, it's kind of like your own little mini version of a collection feature in marketmoversapp.com, for example. eBay also has a separate collection feature, but in the vault, in your eBay account, you can also see basically the market value of the cards that you've purchased. So it's a little like a way to calibrate how well you've done just by looking at that dashboard. So over the summer, I bought an Elijah Green lefty, a prospect that we never talk about. 2022 Bowman Draft Chrome Auto PSA 10. That card is up $55 from where I bought it from. So the current eBay value of that card, according to the Vault dashboard, is $355.39. That's up $55 or 18.5% from where I bought it from. And then the Joe Burrow, a couple of weeks ago, I was all in on the Joe Burrow 2020 Optic Hollow PSA 10s. One of them I had shipped to my vault. That one's already up 11.74% in spite of the Jake Browning breakout performances. That Joe Burrow card, just from buying it at the right time, is up $42. So it's kind of cool to look in your eBay vault in that dashboard and just get a quick look at how you're doing. So I like that. All right. I'm excited about the last part of my win of the week because we've increased our programming here at the nooffseason.com sports card network, not only by bringing on other network partners with other shows, but also just here within our own feeds in our own team here. Lefty, McKee, and Chad Gill and Connor have been putting out amazing content on the deep dives. And for those of you wondering why I'm not on any of those deep dives or what the heck I'm doing, I'm going to give you a little preview of it now, but we are launching a show called 7 Minutes of Strategy. It's going to be a monthly show with a guest. We don't do really guest interviews here. We have guest hosts like Duke Denny one time, Andy Case, and Gary from Hoops and Cards, but we don't really do guest interviews. So we are launching a show called 7 Minutes of Strategy. The first episode is going to be airing this Friday, December 15th on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. So you have to go and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to play a little promo here of our first guest interview coming up on, like I said, this Friday, December 15th. The first interview of 7 Minutes of Strategy is none other than one of the biggest names in the hobby, Gary Vaynerchuk. Here's a little preview with my interview with Gary V that's going to air this Friday on the channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing really well. Thanks for doing this.
Happy to do it.
Gary Vaynerchuk, welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show and the NoOffSeason.com family. Tell the audience here, why is it important for you to take time out of your schedule as an entrepreneur and operator to attend the National every year?
To me, that's ground zero of the hobby.
You were one of the first people outside the hobby back in, say, 2017 through 2019, roughly, talking about opportunities to make money flipping sports cards.
Now it's more in the edges. My belief that wrestling is underpriced. It continues to get more popular. It just merged with the UFC. I think it's going to get more popular over the next decade. What do I see in opportunities of quote unquote flipping? You have to be smarter. There's the fun, opening wax. And of course you can get lucky. You can get lucky in anything, the lottery, a scratch-off ticket, a slot machine. But if we're talking strategic investing around collectibles, I think understanding your supply and demand. It's always supply and demand. And so I think there's a lot of smart people that are listening to this that are going to figure out their supply and demand. And so you have to decide what do you think people want? And what do they not want? Emotionally, I speculated on Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. You know, usually when you invest with your heart, you're going to get hurt. What are the opportunities? See some edges that other people don't see.
And we talk about the right card for the right player at the right time, and it's just getting harder and harder, to your point.
I think that Optimus Prime is more likely relevant in 50 years than Ken Griffey Jr.
A lot of great stuff that's going to be coming up from Gary V on 7 Minutes of Strategy. Optimus Prime.
Hot take.
More relevant than Ken Griffey Jr. What do you think, Duke? What's your hot take on the 7 Minutes of Strategy with Gary V?
Yeah, no, I look forward to seeing the whole thing. I'm not a Transformer guy, so that's not true to me, but maybe he's right.
You know who he is.
I do know who he is, but
does your wife know who Optimus Prime is?
She does not, but she knows who King Griffey Jr. is. So not that my house has to be the litmus test, but no, it's interesting. He's got an interesting take on a lot of things, and I look forward to hearing what you guys talk about. That's all. That's really cool that you got to do that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, we don't typically do guest interviews because I haven't really found much value in having guests on the Sports Card Strategy Show where we just interview them. But yeah, having an opportunity to get, I think, people like Gary V who have a different perspective, and then just talking to him for a short period of time, adding it as extra programming to what we already do, not trying to force it into the Sports Card Strategy Show or the deep dives or the overflow show, but just getting them into the network somehow to get different perspectives. I'm excited about. So looks like we got some good feedback here in the live chat about the preview. Again, would love it if everybody checks out the interview with Gary V on 7 Minutes of Strategy on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network at youtube.com/Paul Hickey this Friday, December 15th. Share the video if you like it. Comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate that. A lot of great stuff in the live chat right now. And Chad appears to be holding up some type of Transformer image on his phone. But we're going to go over
1985 Hasbro Optimus Prime. It's one of my kids' favorite cards.
All right. Well, if you are a believer in what Gary V has to say about Optimus Prime being more relevant in 50 years than Ken Griffey Jr., and you might be around for the next 50 years, go ahead and invest in that card that Chad's talking about, the Hasbro card. That's interesting. But before I absolutely lose my mind with everything going on in the live chat, I'm just going to pass it over to our head of content, Connor Barnett, to take it away for the audience L's and dubs of the week. Connor, what do we got, man?
It looks like the audience members had a pretty good week, which we love to see. So we'll go ahead and hop right into it. W of the week, Shane Graham, buying a Haliburton Prism PSA 10 on Facebook for $32 last week. Got it and listed it immediately, and it sold the next day for $93.
Come on, Shane.
L of the week was PSA not grading his perfectly centered John Rahm SI for Kids card because it didn't meet the size requirement. John Rahm really shaking up the golf world with his transition to live golf in the last few days. Janelle Shue, L of the week, scratched up Wimby cards. We hate to hear it, Janelle. Mark D, W of the week, selling off his James Wood Bowman Chrome First PSA 9s and rolling into Kobe Mayo PSA 10 Chrome First autos in a clean first speckle auto Kobe Mayo for great prices at a local card show yesterday. Mark D, another W, taking Chad's advice and jumping into a small whatnot show Saturday night and got an Amador Bowman First auto for $35. Up next, we got Shane Graham, W of the week, selling off a bunch of the Haliburtons on the season tournament hype and rolling that into a nice Giannis rookie patch. Love it, Shane. W of the week, Eric Sorensen, getting his first card storage case. Congrats there, Eric. W of the week, Greeny Green, having Jaden Daniels and Tatsuro Taira auctions ending Saturday night. L of the week from Barry Siff, not getting Jaden Daniels cards, but lots of Bo Nix, Marvin Harrison, and Michael Penix. W would be finally getting going on starting our eBay store. We love hearing that, Barry. We're excited for you guys to get rolling there. Up next, we got Justin Stewart, W of the week, making $5 from selling a Joe Flacco card. Shout out Lefty there. Good job, Justin. It's the small W's and the big W's. Up next, Adrian Charlie, L of the week, processing and handling returns after sending multiple images to buyers. Cards sold were raw and under $100. Up next, we got Shoes. Paul touched on this just a little bit, but he bought a ton of Austin Reeves at the right time. Like Paul said, Reeves had a nice showing in that championship game for the in-season tournament. I think that's going to do it for me for now. Like I said, we'll probably touch more on Austin Reeves in a little bit, but as you guys have questions throughout the show, be sure to drop them in the comments, and we will try to get to as many as we can at the end of the show, time to pin it. And if we're not able to get to them, be sure to drop them in the comments at youtube.com/Paul Hickey, and we will answer them there.
Yeah, so to Justin Stewart's point about the Joe Flacco play, I mean, not only did he get $5 profit, but he had fun, right? He had a lot of fun. And I remember last time Duke was on the show, I was accused of not having fun flipping sports cards. I was accused of just basically being too safe and letting everybody else roll the dice and have the fun that I'm not having. So Justin,
are you saying you bought Joe Flacco cards?
Justin Stewart got $5 plus fun, courtesy of Lefty McKee. So good work on the quick flip. I did not buy Joe Flacco cards. I will not be buying Optimus Prime cards either. Spoiler alert. I just don't have enough patience to wait 50 years. So spoiler alert on that one. But over to my buys of the week. Great job, Connor, by the way. Great job going through and great job, audience. Love hearing from the audience. Appreciate you guys dropping your L's and W's in the live chat. If you want to drop your L's and W's on the Discord, we'd love to see them there as well. sportscardstrategy.com. Join the Discord. We'll see you there. Buys of the week. So this is how we break them down now. We break them down as safe and risky. I like this. So my safe buy is I'm going where they ain't. I'm going where they ain't a little bit. We talked about this guy a couple weeks ago. We hit on him just a little bit, but I did a little bit of research into his cards, and this is a GOAT. And I don't typically talk about GOATs, but he's an active GOAT, and it's looking like he's going to be playing a little bit more coming up in 2024, and that is Tiger Woods. I don't buy golf very often. I don't buy active GOATs very often because I don't feel like there are imminent selling markers, and I don't really feel like their prices dip enough to buy in. But Tiger Woods 2001 Upper Deck Victory March PSA 10 is a Pop 2K. It's sold consistently for around $60 to $70 and upwards of $100 last spring leading up to the Masters. Also, it sold in June, I think around the PGA and US Open time for around that price as well. So it sold twice this month recently for under $30. So just simple timing of the market. You can buy in at a low point and you should be able to double, if not triple your money, depending on the Tiger hype rise leading up to the Masters. Hopefully he'll be playing and hopefully you'll be able to find this card. It's a Pop 2K. There's not a lot for sale on eBay right now, so it's not real easy to find this card at this particular price point. People are asking way more than the $30 that this just sold for, but you may be able to find it off of eBay, just referencing eBay comps and try to get it for as low as $30. We're going to have links to all of these buys, by the way, at nooffseason.com. So you're going to be able to go find all of our recommendations later today and tomorrow and the rest of this week at nooffseason.com. You're going to be able to click on the links to these cards and buy them. But I'm going to go high-end Tiger Woods now. Safe high-end. Again, very hard to find. But if you can find it and you have the money, 2001 SP Authentic Stars Autos number 45. This is serial numbered out of 900. PSA 10 is only Pop 134. But again, if you have the money and you can find it for this price at $10,300, this card is down 25%. The problem is there are none for sale on eBay right now. So again, you'd have to go off eBay to try to find a card like this, but you can reference the most recent comp potentially to get this card at a much lower price. Now, here's the one that I think everybody can find. It's a mid-tier card. It's the card that Lefty likes. So credit to Lefty on this one. He's actually talked about this card really for about the last 6 to 8 months. 2001 Upper Deck number 1 base PSA 10. This is a Pop 13,200. So everyone should be able to get this card for around $250 right now. This is the Dave Ramsey of sports cards play, everybody. The chances that it sells for $300 or more at the 2024 Masters are it's like 100% chance based on last year's data. So I really, really like these safe plays for Tiger Woods. On the riskier side of things, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is on fire right now, but I think he's a risky buy because while it could be his year, it also very easily could not be his year to get to or win the Super Bowl. But his 2018 Donruss Optic Hollow PSA 10 is down 42% over the last 30 days. Why? I have no idea. It's a relatively low pop card, but you can find it. The only question would be, can you find it for the price that it is most recently sold for? Even if you can, I still think Lamar Jackson overall is a pretty risky buy because other than this card, you're buying in at a pretty high point. You're buying in when he's just absolutely dominating the stat sheet and the win column for a red hot Baltimore Ravens team. I don't love buying in at a high point like that to a player's prices, but this particular card is down 42%, down $200 over the last 30 days. Could be an anomaly sale, but it still exists. So if you can find this card, reference the most recent comp and get a deal on it, I think you could be in good shape. So those are my buys of the week. And again, you're going to be able to find all of our buys over at nooffseason.com throughout the week to just go ahead and click on them and buy them. Now over to Lefty McKee for your buys, Lefty.
Yeah, my buy. Well, first off, love that Tiger Woods card. I've been really talking about how Tiger Woods, I think, is a good play right now because his market, he's just going where they ain't. No one's talking about him until 2 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden he plays in one tournament and everybody's like, whoa, Tiger Woods again. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want you guys to do. The media is a fickle bunch out there and we are going to profit off of them. But my buys, my safe buy right now is a raw silver, Prism Silver Emmanuel Quickly card. I've been talking about this for a couple weeks, and I've been able to move into these cards. What I was saying is I believed that the PSA 10s were undervalued because they were coming in at around $40 to $50, and the guys in his, what I would say in his echelon, is between 250 and 500, depending on the media and if their name is a big name or not. I would say Quickly's name is way underpriced for what he is in the NBA, what he was in college, the pedigree that he has, the Knicks team that he is on. And so when I looked at the PSA 10, I was saying, wow, this is a very underpriced card. And then I just looked at the raw silvers, and I was noticing that I can get these for $3 to $5, and there's an automatic centering tool already on the card, so I can pretty much know. And so I've also taken another look at this. Actually, I'll wait for that for a second. But with raw silver Quickly cards, when I'm pulling these in for $5, and I know that I can get into them graded at PSA for around $15, $20 invested when I know that the market currently is already around $50, and I expect it to be someday around that 250 mark. Come on. That just seems like a 10x steal. Going where they ain't is a guy that could explode in the NBA with popularity, and an absolute scorer. I mean, he is doing all the same things that Cam Thomas is doing, and I'd say that his name is better in market value. And so all this guy needs is the right situation for this card to go parabolic. And so I love the Quickly play. I bought 26 different Quickly raws this week. So I think that's where I've been at. That's what the little marker I've been pushing. It's been a long time since I bought $5 cards on eBay, and I'm very excited about it. The centering tool that I was saying. I just got curious, and I said, okay, I'm going to go look at PSA 9s of this card and that are already encased. And I'm just going to look at the PSA 9 centering and just see if I can tell on the computer. Every single one of them has 4 dots on one side, 3 on the other. And I was like, yes, sir. I go look at the PSA 10s, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. And I'm like, oh man, guys, I really think I'm onto something here. Like, I really think that I'm playing this cute version of Lefty sports card strategy on eBay when I'm looking at $5 Prism silver Emmanuel Quickly cards. So I'm excited about that. Another buy that I think is incredibly safe right now is Patrick Mahomes. We've talked about this over the past couple weeks. I'm going to say it again. He is the worst QBR of his career, and was beat this week in a horrific, now I don't want to get into all this, but it was a horrific loss, bad beat for Patrick Mahomes last week, and they just keep losing. And you know what that does for us? That gives us better buying opportunities. Please, Chiefs, keep losing and just get in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying, because the playoff bracket on his side, I believe, is weaker than it's ever been for him. And his overall market pulse that we look at on Market Movers is down significantly. His market pulse index, which is an index of his entire collection of investable cards, is down 14.3% in the last 365 days. This could be the best quarterback of our generation. Yes, I think he looks silly. Yes, I think it's weird when he runs. Yes, his voice annoys me. But heck, not too long ago, this man signed for $500 million. $500 million, which seems astronomical now that Shohei got 700 million. But this was a $500 million man a couple of years ago, and no one could see him doing anything wrong. And I think that he's also bought shares of the Royals. He's bought shares of Sporting Kansas City. He's bought shares of the women's soccer team there in Kansas City. He regularly makes appearances at Texas Tech games. This guy's market will be huge for a long time, even after he plays. And so if you've ever wanted to get into Patrick Mahomes, now might be the best opportunity ever to get into Patrick Mahomes, because I'm recommending his Optic Holo PSA 10 that is currently down 7%, and it has a pop of 722. You can expect this. There's live auctions right now that I do not believe will hit the 1.7 K marker. I believe you will get a deal on this card, and it's already down significantly from where it's from. I think that he is one of the best buys in the hobby currently, because Chiefs keep losing. And if you know anything about the Super Bowl, it's going to be huge. And I believe that whether it's fixed or not, I think the Chiefs will be there and Taylor Swift will be on display and all this will be, it will be huge. So get in now. My risky buys, this is funny because we've talked about this guy being a sell for us. I bought 2 Shoheis and a Haliburton auto last week. Now, I bought them before the spike from the in-season tournament, and I bought them before the trade. So I did buy in, but these were risky things because I knew the turnaround time was very quick. Like I said, I did not have the Shoheis back in hand before I could sell them at the when he signed with the Dodgers for $700 million, which is awesome, by the way. I am hoping to make a profit on these going forward in multiple different buy or selling opportunities. So am I excited about having them? Yes. Do I think they're risky? Yes, because I'm still going to rely on their market going higher than where it's currently at because I don't currently have them in my hands. But as we've talked about, Chase Krim, great person to buy cards from. You guys go check out Chase Krim. I was able to buy Shoheis and Haliburtons from him this week. I was able to get into a Haliburton card that wasn't a PSA 10 or wasn't a silver prism. It was a private signings association. So this card was selling for around $200, and I was able to get it for around $130. So awesome buying opportunity. I think having a Haliburton auto is going to play really well into my portfolio. I don't think we're anywhere close to his ceiling, so I would say he's still a buy right now, even though he is very elevated from where he was a couple weeks ago when we said that he was a buy. He's just a more, more. You need to do your research more on buying the opportunities. Now, a couple weeks ago, you could have bought any Haliburton card. Now, I think you're going to have to be strategic, but I do still think there's opportunity to make money there.
I'm going to flag plant something right now. I said this, I think, maybe back in February of 2023. I said Lefty McKee is going to win 2024. And I'm going to flag plant again and say Lefty McKee is going to win 2024. I mean, stay tuned for Sports Card Strategy Show episodes in 2024, everyone, because like every week, I feel like the win of the week for Lefty is just going to be huge. I feel like he is just right on the money right now. It is outstanding what he's bringing to the table with his calls, and that buys of the week was outstanding. And before we go over to Dr. Crack Chad Guell, I do want to call this out here real quick because we've never had this happen before on the Sports Card Strategy Show, but in my buys of the week segment, I recommended a card, the 2001 Upper Deck Victory March Tiger Woods. And I said, I'm not sure if you can get this card for $30 or less. Our very own live chatter, Bruce Hollingdrake, who puts out great hockey card content, by the way, put in an offer. And then a couple minutes later, here's an update, live update on the show. The guy accepted the $30 offer on ComSki. Congrats to Bruce Hollingdrake, now the proud owner of a Tiger Woods PSA 10 Upper Deck Victory March. Bruce, I think you're going to have to text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727 to get that Tiger Woods sell alert during the week of the Masters and sell that puppy and make that 3X on your investment there. And then also, speaking of Lefty winning 2024, Bruce also bought the Javi Simons that Lefty, talk about this real quick because you hit on this on the deep dive. You nailed a soccer-themed 1K budget builder. Just hit on that real quick on the Javi Simons that Bruce just bought here.
Yeah, Javi, I think, is one of the most exciting players that I watch. And typically when I watch soccer, I watch enough of it. I watch enough of it. I think I watch more soccer than baseball, which is probably not what you guys expected. But when I watch Xavi Simons, I think this guy is going to be the next superstar. And he's playing for a team that he's getting a lot of run, but he's technically owned by PSG, who's going to have some significant issues with Mbappe moving to Real Madrid this winter. Xavi is going to be a guy that they could potentially bring in. Now, there has been Southern Soccer Idiot talked about on the deep dive show where he doesn't agree with the PSG brass and he might get moved. perfect. I think that's fine as well, because he's going to get moved to a team that he's going to be a stud at, because this guy is bona fide top 5 youngsters in soccer right now, and he has PSG licensed autographs. Give them to me. It's a kit people recognize. I want to be able to move forward with Xavi. He is a guy that you really watch on the field and you're like, whoa, that guy's different. And he's in a Champions League game against other top tier talent, and he's the one that's looking different. I think that there's something different about Jude Bellingham, and there's something different about Xavi Simons. And which one of those names does Duke Denny one time not know? I'll just put it that way.
Facts. Xavi.
So,
I don't know him.
MW says Xavi Simons is not that good. Bad take. He has great hair. What's interesting about this is, how much are you paying for a Xavi Simons card right now? And where does he fit in your sports card investment portfolio? My guess is you're not paying that much and that he's a total flyer. But what Lefty's talking about here is, he is talking about Xavi Simons being a good footballer. However, it could be irrelevant, MW, to the other points. When you listen to Lefty's case, and if you go back and listen to the Sports Card Strategy Show deep dive from last week, MW, you might be right. He might be horrible. But I think when you listen to Lefty's 1K budget builder segment, he's building a case for the fact, and we do this all the time at the Sports Card Strategy Show, building a case for the fact that there's a selling marker for him and that you're buying him low right now. And that's really what matters more probably than him being a particular type of quality footballer. Now, I think you guys are saying different things in terms of like how good he is at soccer. And so to each his own on that one. But I think the point is, can you still make money off him? Like Bruce cracking the CSG Xavi that he bought in the Merlin. Now, real quick, Lefty, talk about the right card though, because Xavi Simons CSG 10 Merlin Chrome for $12.50 that Bruce bought. Talk about the right card though, real quick, for Xavi Simons, and then we'll go over to Chad.
Yeah, I think that Merlin Chrome. Did he say it was autographed? Sorry, I don't
believe so.
So the Merlin Chrome is probably my second favorite Xavi card that I love. The one that I would prefer, that I would recommend overall, is the Topps 2022 Topps Chrome PSG autograph, which is it's his PSG set. It comes from the PSG set.
Yeah,
and that's the one I would prefer. But I think that Merlin card is probably number 2. And then there are also some Leaf autos, and I never recommend Leaf autos, but because of pop count for him, I believe that could be an auto that still sees residual rise from the rest of his market going up.
All right. Thanks, MW, for the live chat there. Saying that he was good, but others outgrew him. Okay, fair enough. So he went from not that good, bad take, to he actually was good, but others are better than him. All right, but we still think you can make money on him. So that's what we're looking at. All right, Lefty, good stuff. Dr. Crack, Chad Gill, over to you for your safe and risky buys of the week, man. What do you got for us?
Well, before I get into my risky and safe buys, I just got to say, Lefty has got to be really good at his real job, because I wanted to say amen 3 times during his Patrick Mahomes rant. He is fired up and on the mark. I could listen to Lefty talk all day when he gets like that. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right.
Thanks, Greg.
On here we go. My safe, in the theme of go where they ain't. I did not plan this with you guys, but it is where we are. I want to go to Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is a player right now that I mentioned it a while back, where his Sapphire 2019 card, the PSA 10, I mentioned that I thought it was a great buy when it hit $550 mark. I was able to pick one up last night for $461. So it's gotten even better. So I am re-saying that he is my safe pick. The card is down 40% in the last year. It's down 12% in the last month. Erling Haaland is one of the best players in soccer. he just got hurt. Here's the other reason why I'm on the Erling Haaland train. He's hurt right now. He's out for maybe a week or so. And I think that's why this card has dipped even further. If a month or two ago, if you'd have told me this card was going to get sub 500, I'd have said you were crazy. But now I wasn't even the lowest sale. Somebody got one at $438. I'm the second lowest sale at $461. I just think this is a great investment. It's a safe investment, and it's nice and low right now. The other safe investment I have is I'm sticking with my soccer theme today because we're going where they ain't. 2017 Kylian Mbappe Topps Chrome, down 40% in the last 90 days. The refractor's down 15% in the 90 days, both in PSA 10. I think the base is a very liquid, desirable card. The silver's a little bit harder to come by, but also very, very nice card. And there's a lot of talk about him that he could actually change teams in the transfer in January. Matter of fact, they've actually put a deadline on him that they want to know an answer. Otherwise, he will for sure be moving in summer. He will not be staying with PSG. So whether it's an uptick in January or an uptick in summer, I think Kylian Mbappe is a terrific buy right now with his prices down so far.
Agreed.
My risky pick is also soccer. So if in the whole go where they ain't, try and plan out, Paul talked at the beginning of the show, trying to plan out markers that are not too far out. Well, the transfer window is January for the soccer players. Ivan Toney, 2021-2022 Prism Premier League serial numbered refractors is where I want you to look. There are very few of his cards graded right now, so it's hard to find one in graded, but they're not real expensive, and there's time. So here's my play. Buy a low serial number Prism Premier League rookie card, send it to SGC, which we don't normally recommend for the fast turnaround time because there are not very many of his graded cards, and be ready to sell them in mid-January wherever he ends up. I do think that he also is going to get transferred. The reason why this is a risky play and not a safe play is there is a chance that he too stays put. And because he is not a household name like Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland, he's not that household name. He needs that transfer window to go someplace big for the spike to happen. So there is risk involved there. But his low serial numbered paralleled cards, I bought 3 of them over the weekend. I bought a numbered to 25 for $38. $15 to send it to SGC. I'll have $50 invested in a numbered to 25 card. If that comes back at 10, it's got to be $100 card. Just because there's enough hype that he might get transferred. He may not even need to get transferred for his cards to jump in January, because if you Google his name, there's a lot of transfer hype about him right now in January. So those are my safe and my risky buy plays.
Can I speak to Ivan Toney real quick?
Yeah. Hey, Lefty, real quick, before you do that, I just want to say that, I have no idea who Ivan Toney is, and I had no idea who Xavi Simons was before you mentioned him on the deep dive. But I think I like what we're doing here, and I just want to frame this for the audience because we've had intelligent comments from people like MW in the live chat, and we appreciate you, MW. And there's probably a lot of people out there that know a lot more about soccer than we do, and so we want to acknowledge that. But what we're doing here is we're framing up the discussion of safe buys and risky buys. I threw Xavi Simons in because Bruce Hollingdrake in the live chat was referencing a card that he bought based on last week's 1K budget builder segment with Lefty and Connor. The purpose of that segment where Lefty qualified that is also kind of on the riskier buys. But even though they're risky, what both of these guys have done is they've identified clear selling markers. So it's independent of whether or not they're like a top footballer or ranked blah, blah, blah in the world, or scouted this or done that or watched them for 5 to 7 years or whatever. We're not trying to do that. You can get that content elsewhere. What we're trying to do is look at selling markers and the best point to buy in at a low point, with the intent to list the card at the selling marker. Lefty mentioned transfer market in last week's deep dive, because all the guys that he mentioned on the budget builder were top 5 likely to get transferred and the highest values of a transfer. So I think that, I'm not going out there. We all know the Dave Ramsey of sports cards is not going out there buying Ivan Toney and Javi Simons and things like that. But what we're doing here at the Sports Card Strategy Show is giving you more options to go where they ain't with selling markers in mind. I personally love the Haaland and Mbappe calls on the safer side. I'm not going to go buy Ivan Toney or Javi Simons, but I do think our analysts here are doing a great job giving you guys opportunity to buy low with a super high ceiling, right? So the riskier the buy, it typically means the higher the ceiling. So yeah, Lefty, go ahead and take it away on the Ivan Toney. I just wanted to kind of frame up the discussion for everybody.
Yeah, Ivan Toney is he's a character that has been in the media quite a bit. He had a potential like betting scandal that he was a part of and some other things, but the guy can score goals. And I think that is where we're looking at this, because he's going to make a high dollar amount transfer for what he is, because he can score goals. I actually was able to watch, I've been to one English soccer game, and I was able to watch Ivan Toney beat Chelsea as a Peterborough United player. So it was a long time ago before he ended up in the Premier League. Then I watched him and I was like, wow, that guy, he stands out on a field for sure. But also, Toney is a kind of guy who is the second level striker this year. What I mean by that is Victor Osimhen, we talked about him on the 1K budget builder as well, is the top target for Chelsea. If they cannot secure Victor Osimhen, I believe they move to a guy like Toney. So he's going to be a guy that they still need goals on their team, and he's probably worth about 15 goals on above replacement, and that's going to win you games. And Chelsea is a team that needs goal scorers right now. They are struggling with goal scorers. And so I think that although he will not be the biggest transfer of the window, I believe he will be one of the most important transfers of the window if Victor Osimhen does not come over from Napoli. I could see him moving from Brentford to Chelsea or something like that. And I believe that he is going to score impactful goals for whatever team he's on.
I don't know any other podcast that can flex over into how to make money flipping soccer cards, golf cards. We've talked about NBA. We've
Optimus
talked about
Prime.
MLB. We've talked about Optimus Prime. I mean, we're covering everything here, and looking at Duke Denny one time Dodson for a little bit of commentary around that. Duke, do you know of any other podcast that does what we do?
And you've got range, okay? Range. Like a playground basketball player. So I texted my wife out of the blue, do you know King Griffey Jr. and do you know Optimus Prime? And she responded with, why? So I was like settling a bet, just please answer. And she said, I do know Ken, I don't know Optimus Prime. But I will say that I think what Gary Vee is getting at there is pop culture cards. And I do think I agree with him on like the wrestling and UFC stuff. And I love pop culture stuff. And when the new Graybos opens in March, like we want to have built like a great pop culture section. I love hip hop artists, but I was scrolling through Instagram yesterday and Golden Auctions had a card signed by Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei, my cousin Vinny. And I texted my friend. I said, if you don't buy this for me for Christmas, then we're not friends anymore. So I get excited about that stuff. And I think a lot of people do. So, but you mean to roll into my buys of the week?
Yeah, I
Paul?
can't wait. I can't wait for that pop culture section at the new Graybos. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, let's roll into your buys. I like your show notes here because I think we're all on the same page with these kinds of plays. But take it away, man. For who are you buying?
So I'm going to focus on mostly quarterbacks, but the one basketball player I'm buying is Ant-Man. You just buys out there. I bought a card this week for the fund that has been trading at $2,000 consistently. We got it for $14.24 on eBay. I just think it's just the time of year where you can get deals. So, but the quarterbacks, here, you want to say hi, Graybo? Graybo's here. You want to see Graybo?
Yeah.
Graybo.
What's up, Graybo? Looking good, my man. Great. For those of you who don't know, Graybo is a phenomenal podcast host. Graybo's Giblets with Duke and Fitz. We need to get Graybo to do one of our intros to replace me on our intro. So stay tuned for that.
He brings the energy. I'll tell you. I love it. He's in. All right. So quarterbacks. So I try to learn from history. This summer, when I was looking at quarterbacks to buy, we bought a Lamar Jackson for the fun. And I noticed that the Lamar Jackson last year, we bought it for about in the $3,000 range for the fund. And last year, when he was not playing because of contract disputes, everybody was down on Lamar. I'm putting this back in so you don't have to hear his Graybo's
McDonald bag rattling. But that same car traded for $1,500 a year ago when nobody wanted Lamar, nobody was talking about Lamar, and it's the same human, same team, same situation. And so I try to learn from that, like, who is that right now? Who is down right now? We're not talking about, not in the news. And I think you look at injuries are an easy place to start, right? So Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson are two like phenomenal athletes, very safe. Jefferson came in, got hurt again yesterday. Burrow's been hurt. So I just think look for opportunities with those guys. And the little more riskier play, I think right now would be Justin Herbert. I've been a Herbert truther. I have not made money on him. I've lost more than I've made because of what you guys say. You look for like markers to sell. He hasn't given us that yet, but the marker's coming. You know what that's going to be? When the coach gets fired, which will probably happen this year because they're going to have a losing record, miss the playoffs. So when the light bulb went off for me recently again was when they were speculating on who, if he gets fired, who the new coach would be. People threw out names like Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh, and not saying that's going to happen, but can you imagine, like, you put a good coach, a little more support around Justin Herbert, what he could be? Because if you threw all the quarterbacks in a bucket and you said we're going to start a team from scratch, who are you taking first? You probably take Mahomes, and who are you taking second? And I think Herbert is a strong candidate to starting a new team. You could argue Burrow, you could argue Jalen Hurts, some other guys, Josh Allen, but from talent-wise alone, the specimen that he is, he's a fantastic quarterback. So let's fire the coach. And then the other kind of riskier buys, I think Josh Allen is somewhat in that riskier range because he's been down, but got a big win yesterday. They can still make the playoffs. You don't want to see them in the playoffs. Last week, before they beat the Chiefs, you could get the Bills at 50-1 to win the Super Bowl. And if they win 2 more games, that'll be like 10-1. So a little more riskier down the range of riskiness. I think Justin Fields is his prices were down. He was hurt. The Bears were doo-doo. They're less doo-doo-ish now. They've stabilized. And I think when you're talking about Justin Fields as a potential like daily fantasy asset, which he was this week, he had a good week fantasy wise. That's when like people get excited about him again. And then finally Bryce Young, talked about this last month, same reasons, draft capital, no matter how bad they are this year, he will start next year. They will get a good draft pick because they're basically in last place. And there will be some preseason hype about Bryce had a good camp. Bryce is looking good in camp. Doesn't matter what he does next year, Paul. This is you, right? Doesn't matter what he does on the field.
Exactly.
There will be preseason hype around Bryce. So those are my riskier buys.
I like where your head's at with all of that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Herbert. You're right. He hasn't given us a selling marker at all, but he's got the draft capital. He's certainly that physical specimen with all the talent in the world. And in the right situation, he could be amazing in the future. Also, he had a finger injury or still has a finger injury, like on his throwing hand, right? So I would think that is probably something that gets swept under the rug in terms of just a factor for his upside from a performance standpoint. So if we're looking at like a healthy Herbert in a new situation next year, definitely could be some selling markers in his future. And then I like what you're saying too about guys like Bryce Young, because, I typically say wait until all of their rookie cards come out and have been out on the market for 3 to 6 months. But once that happens, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, those are two guys that I'm super intrigued by because of like poor performance on Bryce Young's side and the bad situation, and then also the injury to AR. And so CJ Stroud's had all this hype, but I mean, again, we like going where they ain't. So I totally agree. I think once Bryce's major rookie releases come out, and we're looking at, Don Russ and Prism this month. So, Contenders probably not too far behind that. And then, once we get into the summer, there could be some nice buy low points for a guy like Bryce as well. And then, like you're saying, flip them in August when there's some hype. So I really like it. Who are you selling? How are you, of all these quarterbacks, like who do you think you're looking to sell now?
Yeah, and to close the Bryce Young loop, just don't count out 2 college cards, Bowman U cards with him. Alabama's got a huge market. I think college jersey stuff is going to get more popular over time. And I think that there are so many people that will always think of him in his Alabama jersey because of his success there. So, so selling, I think you've got, kind of the too soon and the perfect timing categories. I think the guys that are hot that I would consider selling, but might be too soon, I might hold a little bit longer, like somebody like Brock Purdy. His prices are so high compared to the rest of his rookie class, but they're very likely to make it to the Super Bowl. If they stay healthy, I would bet heavily on the 49ers getting there over the Eagles and over the Cowboys. And so I think I'm holding Purdy a little bit longer. I think Lamar, it's so funny. We bought Lamar in the offseason because I thought what was going to happen has happened. They've had a good season. But now, to your point, his prices are not up. But are they going to be? Like, I don't know. So I think I would consider, if you can get a window to sell Lamar, it's probably this week or next. They might beat the Jags next week, but then their schedule gets tougher the next 2 weeks after that. And I don't see them without Mark Andrews. I don't see them making a heavy dent in the playoffs. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I would, I just have way more confidence over like a 49er team making a run than the Ravens. But so I think I'm looking at selling Lamar right now. And then the perfect timing, I hate to admit it, is probably Dak. As excited about everybody is about the Cowboys right now. If you put yourself a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was the exact same thing. The Cowboys do this to us every year, and this might be the year that they break through. But I said it last year and I said the year before, and they seem like no matter how well Dak does in the regular season, piles up stats, piles up wins, his postseason performance and the Cowboys' the ability to mess it up negates all of that value and then some in the playoffs with one bad game. And people love to ride the Cowboys when they're high, and they love to crap on the Cowboys when they're low. And so, when the future seems so bright, like today, after coming in after destroying the Eagles, what a great win for the Cowboys! What a great run they've been on. So let's put them out there. Let's let somebody scoop up Dak.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, only one of those guys between Dak and Purdy and Jalen Hurts can make it to the Super Bowl between those 3 guys. And so if you're holding on to Purdy and betting heavily, like you're saying, then I think Dak is definitely a sell. And I'm going to break that down a little bit further later on in the show. But, betting heavily from Duke to Any One Time Dodson should resonate with all of you, because he is one of the co-hosts of Graybo's Giblets right here on the nooffseason.com Sports Card Network. You got to go check out Graybo's Giblets. These guys, Duke, Gray, and Fitz, break down the bets every Friday and Saturday on the network. So check out graybosgiblets.com to get all the information on subscribing to their podcast. And they're going to help you win your bets. So I like where Duke's head's at. And it's time to get over to Dr. Crack Chad Gill for his sells of the week.
All right, my sells of the week. My sell of the week is Jordan Love, specifically his 2020 Select Concourse Silver PSA 10. He has performed well the last couple of weeks, obviously, since the Thanksgiving upset over the Lions. This card's up 116% since Thanksgiving Day. And you always have heard me say, if it's up 100%, don't think, just sell. There's exceptions to every rule, and this is one of them. The Packers' next 3 games are tonight against the terrible New York Giants, then the Buccaneers, and then the Panthers. I think that that's a very favorable schedule. You could see the Packers at least winning 2 out of 3, if not all 3, and getting on a roll here. Jordan Love has been performing well. I think selling his cards now is too soon. I would wait for these 3 games to get over, for the hype to continue to build. This card is still even up 116% over since Thanksgiving, the last 2 weeks. It's still down 22% since the beginning of the season. So I think there's still plenty of room for this card to grow. So that is my too soon sell. My perfect timing, obviously, Juan Soto's an obvious one, as we sent out the sell alert after he signed with the Yankees. However, I am going to be watching in January and February for a dip in his prices, because I would like to buy back in before the season starts. I do have a couple of the Juan Sotos that I don't have in my personal collection listed for sale right now, hoping to capitalize on some profits and then buy back in before the start of the season, because I do think that his cards will rise, especially if he does well in New York, which I think he will, because Petco Park is just not a hitter's park. And I think he's going to do very, very well in New York. So that's a sell now and a wait and see, try and buy back in. The other one is the 2020 Prism Base 2010 Tyrese Haliburton, after knocking off the Celtics and the Bucks in the preseason tournament. This card has doubled. It's up 97% in the last 30 days. I say take advantage and sell off the base Prism PSA 10s. Double your money. Hold on the silvers, autos, and silvers, autos, and hollows. I would hold on those cards right now, because, spoiler alert, we've talked about this before, the All-Star game is in Indiana this year. There is no way that Haliburton doesn't make the Pacers as a Pacers representative. He's going to make the All-Star game. The hype around him being in his home stadium, home city, is going to be unreal. I could see him possibly asking him to compete in the dunk contest or the 3-point contest, maybe in the skills challenge. They're going to get him involved in as much stuff as they possibly can, because this is going to be huge. You've got one of the up-and-coming rising stars of the league having an all-star in his home. So I think perfect timing is selling his base prisms. I would say a hold on his silvers, autos, and hollows until the all-star break. I think those are going to continue to rise.
I love that breakdown. And part of the reason why we want to be very specific with when to sell players is because it does depend on the card, and it does depend on whether or not the player is in the middle of their season. And it does depend on things like, what's the potential future profit margin for a young player like Tyrese Haliburton. So the idea that you can sell Soto now and buy back in later is a little bit more clear cut than what to do with Haliburton, where Dr. Crack broke down. Basically, it depends on what card you own. So I really, really love that. Lefty, over to you for breaking down your sells of the week.
Yeah, I like what Chad had to say here on the different. Juan Soto is definitely a great opportunity to recoup some investment that you've probably had on him from the Padres big trade, if you were able to move him. The thing that I'm a little bit, this might go back to one of my L's of the week, but I think in terms of the Soto trade, what I was most disappointed about in that is I wanted Spencer Jones to be moved. And I know that the Padres were wanting Spencer Jones from the Yankees, and the Yankees ended up not wanting to move Spencer Jones. But I think that could have been a really cool residual effect had he moved to the Padres. They got rid of James Wood, and Spencer Jones is a similar profile. Man, that would have been so, not only for my own personal portfolio, he would have been immediately a sell, but I just want him to get an opportunity in the MLB. I think he's a guy that's going to be Huge. I also love the idea of selling Jordan Love later, not now, because I think he's going to win all 3 of those games. Perfect timing, though, on sells. Or let's go to too soon first. LeBron James, I have as my too soon sell. And people could say, are you kidding me? He's 38 years old. He's just won the MVP of the tournament that you guys have said is going to boost somebody's value. Is it not boosting his? I think it is boosting his. But I also think, and I've talked about this, there are so many markers for LeBron James. He is one of the few players that I think that he's on my overall wish list on cards that if I had to hold cards for the next 50 years, speaking of Optimus Prime, I think I would hold LeBron James for that long. I think he's going to continually be in the media, and he's continually shown he's a guy that's a stand-up guy. I mean, he was handed so much money as a young kid and was able to do all of this with it. I think he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a nice family. Bronny's going to come up. I think his market I know that his market has cooled off over the past few years with him being in LA. The initial hype from his being in LA, moving to the Lakers, spiked his value. And you've seen I'm going to go back to Market Pulse on Market Movers. I used Market Pulse here for LeBron James and for Patrick Mahomes because you can see their entire card indexes. And I might have to dive deep into that on Wednesday's show about why that's important, because there are some players that have their own index. LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes have their own index. And Connor, if you'll just remind me to bring that up on Wednesday, that would be great. But for LeBron James's index, his index is currently down like 14%, I believe, as well. For a guy that doesn't need to have a dip in cards. Like, he has the respect that's needed. And there was a lot of talk in the in-season tournament about how he has a new lease on life when Bronny had his heart issue. I think LeBron was so focused on longevity that he was missing the daily games. Like, he was missing the importance of the daily, you're getting the opportunity to go play basketball. And I think you are seeing a LeBron James that's rejuvenated, that is excited to play again. You're seeing a LeBron James that knows that his time is limited in the NBA, and he is going all out. I mean, we've seen him run the floor this year, and we haven't seen that over the past 2 to 3 years consistently. And we see him still doing those chase down blocks, still running the floor like he's 21. He's just an amazing player. I think he's a guy he's my greatest of all time, if you were to ask me, over Jordan. And I know that's controversial, but that's where I'm at with it. He's doing things that we've just never seen, and he's 38 years old. There will be more records for him. There will be more there will be more selling opportunities for record breakings. There will be more selling opportunities for Bronny's draft. Speaking of Bronny playing Sunday night in a USC uniform for the first time, absolutely electric atmosphere. I thought it was so awesome when he made his first 3, and we're like, all right, he's off to the races. Then he chased down blocks somebody just like his dad. And I think we see him being a younger version, but let LeBron James call up a smaller guard that plays just like Bronny plays. Call Dwayne Wade. Say, Bronny James, I want you to go be mentored under Dwayne Wade, who is your exact body style and has the most blocks and rebounds of anyone under 6'3". Like, come on. That could be a path to success for Bronny. Is that he is not trying to be his dad, but is trying to be other players that are like that are on the same echelon and the same, I've said that twice now, on the same atmospheric rise as his dad. So, man is one of my favorite long-term LeBron James. I believe it's too soon to sell him, but I think you can make money. And especially that 2003 white suit just looks horrible. So if you're going to buy a LeBron James card, for my sake, buy the 2003 Topps Chrome card of him shooting. Don't buy the draft day suit card, because I can't stand looking at it. It's a joke in itself. It's a meme. Perfect timing, though. I believe Shohei is perfect timing right now. I believe there will be more perfect timings for Shohei. He is absolutely protected in this Dodgers lineup. And if for those of you guys that don't know baseball, there is a term calling protected in a lineup where you have to pitch to him. You have to either pitch to Shohei in this situation. You have to pitch to one of these players. You have to pitch to Mookie Betts, who's an MVP. You have to pitch to Shohei, who's an MVP, or you have to pitch to Freddie Freeman, who's also an MVP. You're going to get opportunities for him to hit long balls, and that Dodgers atmosphere is going to be electric. Those late night Dodger games are going to be so just to the moon with excitement on it. He could not have signed in a better a place for Shohei to thrive, in my opinion. I think he doesn't have to worry about money. He doesn't have to worry about moving. He doesn't have to worry about like a really new culture or atmosphere. He probably can just drive a different way to work than he normally does. I think it's the perfect setting for him. And not only that, but Dodgers have extremely good pedigree with bringing pitchers back or raising pitchers up from injuries. We've just seen the Dodgers destroy pitching departments in a good way, and I think Shohei is going to continue to rise in many sell markers over the next year. Additionally, perfect timing. These will be really quick because they're not that big. Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura. We've talked about both of them. Connor brought up Rui on the 1K budget builder. His cards are up.
What's Rui's Prism Silver PSA 10 at? It was at what, $4 when Connor brought it up?
Yeah, it is up to $10 now. So
all right, that's huge. That's a huge ROI.
Talk about $5 Joe Flacco play, a $5 Rui Hachimura play. But also Anthony Davis going 40-20 in the finals and not getting the MVP. I'm all for LeBron getting it, but think Anthony Davis should have deserved getting the MVP for that game.
The Rui Hachimura play reminds me of one time I was in Vegas at my buddy's bachelor party and I lost like $100 on a roulette wheel or something. And I was so mad at myself that I played like quarter blackjack machines for like the next 4 hours and slowly won my $100 back. That's like the Rui, like how many Rui Hachimuras do you have to flip before you get to a significant, like before you can go grocery shopping? I mean, that's a lot of Rui Hachimura.
Hey, it's like my Emmanuel
Is the pop count even high enough? Is the pop count even high enough on that PSA 10 to make anything? But no, I'm making a joke, but I actually really like it. I think it's definitely notable to talk about that. So that's good stuff. So
and I might as well say Austin Reeves as well. So I know we've already talked about him, but he also is a sell for that Lakers team.
I'm going to unpack some similar things and try to add a little bit more value to what Lefty's saying, because between Crack, Lefty, and I, we're super aligned on the sells right now. And I'm going to try to be a little bit more specific as to why. So my perfect timing sells are also Shohei and Soto. And here's why. And Brian Steeler 714 is saying he's still buying Soto. Here's why. We like to get out quick of specific cards, hence the sell alerts. So we've tried to preach this more and more over the last probably 4 to 6 months on the Sports Card Strategy Show, which is buy only with a selling marker in mind and then actually execute the sale at that selling marker. That's how you make money flipping sports cards. I want to make money. And so with Shohei Ohtani, the right time is now to sell. Why? Because you can buy back in. Another guideline is because Shohei is a player that you can make money on over and over again. You can literally only buy and sell Shohei cards and make a ton of money. His market is up and down due to the seasonality and due to the performance spikes that he has inevitably every season. I don't anticipate Shohei's performance spikes being as high this upcoming season. Neither does Dr. Crack. And I don't think Lefty does either, mainly because he's not going to be pitching. So if you look at the historical data of Shohei cards, you're not going to get an accurate projection of what this upcoming summer is going to look like, because in the last 3 summers, he's been pitching and hitting. And that's why I think we've seen such amazing spikes in his value in June, July, and August. But I do think you can make money only focusing in on Shohei cards. Now would be the time to sell. 2018 Topps Holiday Base PSA 10 is up 105% over the last 14 days. 2018 Bowman Best Refractor PSA 10 up 84% over the last 14 days. 2018 Topps Update Rookie Debut PSA 10 up 32%. 2018 Topps Gallery Base PSA 10 up 30%. These are all over the last 14 days. I mean, guys, like every single high pop count 2018 rookie PSA 10 Topps or Bowman card of Shohei is up 30% or more in the last 14 to 30 days, which means we were right about the fact that Shohei would be up upon this free agent signing, and that we were right to send out a sell alert. Text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. Now with Soto, I think Crack said it and I think Lefty said it. You should be able to buy back into Soto. But there were 3 specific cards that Connor and I wrote about in the sell alert that were up for Soto, and we wanted you to focus on selling those cards. If your Soto card is not up, don't sell it, but pay attention to the sell alert. I've also got Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, and Dak Prescott on my potentially too early. So my perfect timing were Shohei and Soto, because I believe you should sell now and buy back in later, and then sell again during the season when they have a potential performance spike, because there will be a lot of hype for Soto playing for the Yankees. And I believe everything Crack said about that as well. Now, Reeves, I think that there is a chance to move on from Austin Reeves. I do not like people holding Austin Reeves cards. Sorry, Shoes. Shoes, I'm going to give you a lot of credit because you bought a lot of Reeves in the offseason. But now I believe you should get the F out of Austin Reeves cards. Just get out of Austin Reeves cards. His cards are up. His 2021 select courtside rookie raw is up 100%. His 2021 mosaic base raw is up 100%. His 2021 Prism Ice PSA 9 is up 243%. His 2021 Revolution base raw is up 300%. These are like $5 to $40 transactions. Just get what you can for Austin Reeves and move on. He is a role player on the Lakers, guys. I understand the appeal behind Austin Reeves, and I realize he might be a better NBA player than I'm giving him credit for as a sports card investment. He's not a sports card investment. Get out of Austin Reeves cards. Anthony Davis is also kind of a tweener. I think it's an opportunity to get out of Anthony Davis cards. I think people have been holding Anthony Davis cards probably since 2020 or 2021, speculating on Anthony Davis. And I think a lot of people have probably lost a lot of money on Anthony Davis cards. I think now is the time, whether you're under or over on your Anthony, whether you're underwater or whether you got a profit, get out of your Anthony Davis cards. His 2022 Prism base PSA 10, which is a pop 1700, is up to $129. That's up $20. That's up 18%. That's not a huge increase, but I believe based on Anthony Davis's history, he's about to get injured.
Yep.
He's about to miss a bunch of games. Are the Lakers going to be serious contenders in the West? You know, they kind of were last year, but I think we're looking at the Nuggets. We're looking at this, Dr. Crack's high on the Suns. I think the Timberwolves could make a run. There's a lot, Ja Morant's about to come back. Who knows what's going to happen with the Grizzlies team that's underwater right now, but they could make a comeback because they've been there before. I think now is the time to get, all of that could be irrelevant. I'm saying get out of Anthony Davis cards. Now is a chance. Let's talk about Dak Prescott and Jordan Love real quick. And LeBron James. It could be too early for Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and LeBron James as well. But I'm saying that you have to manage your bankroll. Mm-hmm. That's something we haven't talked about yet on today's show. You have to manage your bankroll. If you're holding all of these players that we've talked about, you got to get out of some of them, right? So if you're holding, like Duke said a minute ago, the Brock Purdy's, the Lamar Jacksons, and the Dak Prescotts of the world, and maybe even the Jalen Hurtses of the world, you got to look at who's up the most right now and who has the most realistic chance to continue to go up. It's not Dak Prescott. Now is the time to potentially get out of Dak Prescott. His 2016 Prism Silver PSA 10 is up 78% over the last 30 days. It's never been easier to sell a Dak Prescott card than it is right now. So I think from a bankroll management standpoint, you got to look at Dak moving out of your Dak Prescott cards. I'm giving you the permission to sell Dak Prescott. It's not a sell alert. It's not that cut and dry, because what if the dude goes on to win the Super Bowl? I don't think that's going to happen. I think you get out of Dak Prescott. Jordan Love, I like what the guys are saying because of the matchups. I think it could be too early to sell Jordan Love cards, but I do think that there are base PSA 10. I'm gonna pull a card out of Dr. Crack's deck real quick, because I like what he did a minute ago, breaking down specific cards for Tyrese Haliburton. So I'm going to do it with Jordan Love. I'm not saying sell all your Jordan Love cards, but I'm saying if you have a 2020 base PSA 10 mosaic NFL debut card, that card's up 500% in the last 30 days. That was a $6 card. It's now a $36 card. If you have a 2020 select premier level PSA 10, that card's up 300%. That was an $11 card. That's a $45 card. These are not huge cards. These are the cards that you need to move out of Jordan Love. If you have a 2020 select club level base PSA 10, that's up 270%. That's now a $50 card. It was a $13 card. Okay. So I'm not saying that you should sell all your Jordan Love cards. If you've got big Jordan Love cards, it's definitely too early for that. But if you've got just base PSA 10s, I think there's never been a better time to move out of the Jordan Love cards. And I totally agree with Lefty on LeBron. LeBron, I think, is always a buy, sell, or hold. I think LeBron is a decent sell right now. If you have, this is the card I pulled. I don't know if Lefty looked at my show notes or not and saw this when you mentioned the white suit.
No, I did.
But if you've got the 2003 Topps base PSA 9 or less, this is the white suit card that Lefty was talking about.
It's horrible.
If you've got a 9 or less, you should sell this card right now based on the fact that he was just crowned the MVP of the first ever in-season tournament when the Lakers won it. A BGS 8 of this card is up 36% over the last 30 days. A PSA 5 of this card is up 33% over the last 30 days. A BGS 8.5 of this card is up 15% over the last 30 days. And my personal favorite, the good old PSA 8 Pop 4454 is up 15% over the last 30 days. That is now a $228 to $300 card, depending on how you sell it. So I would get out of those LeBron James cards in the white suit. All right, everybody. I've been looking at my show notes for a long time, so I've missed what's going on in the live chat. I'm excited to get into that. So
just give us one of these. You're out of here.
Over to our very own Connor Barnett, head of content at nooffseason.com, to walk us through the audience QA. What do we got, Connor?
Before we do that, I'm going to give Duke Denny one time a quick second here to say his goodbyes. I think he's got to head out.
2 hours in and he's got to head out. That's a little weak sauce, Denny.
This is the Graybo's crew right here. We got the whole crew here. We got Cole, Gray, Tim, and Seto, and they're ready to start planning and meetings. They want me to get off here, so kind of give a shameless plug, and I'll bounce. My shameless plug: you can buy anything on our website with a 10% off by using the code Strategy2023. And every time somebody buys a Xavier Isaacs off our site, it's always a Sports Card Strategy listener. It cracks me up. I see the email come in, and I'm like, it's got to be one, and it is. This time when somebody bought it, we actually had the card, which was great, as opposed to on eBay.
That's right. I remember that L of the week there.
Check us out on Whatnot. Use the promo code that Hickey was talking about, and then check us out, Graybo's Giblets, part of the nooffseason.com podcast network, baby. But anyways,
we love you guys. Happy planning. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Always a pleasure. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Amen.
All right, good stuff from Duke Denny one time. Love the Graybos crew. Graybos.co is their website. Go check them out. Use the code Strategy2023. All right, Connor, over to you, man.
All right, time for some Q&A from the audience. We got some good questions in here. Let's kick things off with Janelle Shu. What to do with my instant Wembanyama cards? 19 out of 25 are scratched. Contacted Panini via email and haven't heard back. Should I try to sell the good 6, then toss the rest, aka take the loss? Should be calling Panini. Paul, I'm curious what your thoughts are here.
Scratched? Wow. That is, Chad, would that be from the child labor just throwing them aggressively into the top loaders?
Yeah, so I did for those that missed it here, this is what they do. So you got the card, you got the top loader, and they go like this.
I love it. I love it. For those of you listening, that's actually worth watching. Go to youtube.com/Paul Hickey and go to the hour and 53-minute mark of the video and see Dr. Crack throw a card. Janelle, what would I do? I don't know, scratched. That's tough. So I would continue to pester Panini on this one, although Panini might be pestering me with their lawyers because I keep accusing them of child labor. So might have to call my attorney and get them ready on that. I would probably actually try to fight for this one. Normally I would be like, okay, look, if it's a dinged corner, or if it's something on maybe 3 out of the 20 cards, I would just kind of roll with it and maybe sell them. Like I think last week we had a question where Lefty and I kind of agreed where we said, just kind of sell them in a lot, but say that to look at the photos and there's a dinged corner and you could probably still profit from the instant Wembies. But if like 90% of them are scratched, I think you got to fight for that one. I think you got to try to get some sort of Lefty. What would they do if they do anything? Would they give you your money back at least?
I actually have a result from this. Remember my rant about Mad Chad or whatever it was that you guys called me that day?
And angry customer Chad.
Angry customer Chad. I took and clipped. I had my sister help me because I don't know how to do it. We clipped that and we sent that rant to them and said, "This is the type of publicity
no
you're getting
way.
on our show."
You clipped our actual show?
I clipped our actual show, emailed it to them. They said, well, the only 2 from the pictures that look bad enough are these 2 here. And they sent me 2 more replacement cards, the exact same cards.
Nice.
Were the replacements damaged or were they?
No, the replacements actually both. I haven't gotten them back yet, but I got 15 of them I sent off to PSA and 13 of them came back 10. So
what was the email? Was it just the customer service email?
Just a customer service. Yeah. No specific person, just customer service. And after about 4 or 5 attempts of this is ridiculous. This is terrible customer service. This is not acceptable. Are you aware that I am part of a large podcast here in the United States that can make your life miserable? And then I sent them the clip of it, and they said, they said, all right, we're sorry. Send us pictures. I sent them pictures, and they said the only 2 that had enough damage that they could see visibly. There were 2 of the 10 that I sent them, and pictures of. I didn't send them the cards, and they said as we don't normally do this, but we are going to send you 2 replacement cards. And that was part of my submission. And I ended up 13 out of 15 came back 10s. Now, I don't know if it's the 2 they sent me that were PSA 9s. I don't know which 2 they were, but 13 out of 15. So
we don't normally do this, but now since you talked about it, we're going to.
Exactly. I was just going to say they opened up a freaking can of worms because now I'm flag planting. Janelle and everyone else listening, clip the Sports Card Strategy Show, send it to Panini and be like, we listen to a large influential podcast here in the United States of America.
Thousands of listeners.
And guess what? You opened up a can of worms because you sent Dr. Crack 2 replacement cards. I'm Janelle Shu, and I want 19 replacement cards because 19 out of my 20 were scratched. Clip it, Janelle. Send it to him. Let us know what happens. Great question. Connor, who's up next?
Love it, boys. All right, up next, we got a question for Lefty. I know we're going to touch on this more next week, but real quick, if you just want to give a brief overview. Shane Graham, question for Lefty. Who are the big chases in Bowman draft?
Wyatt Langford. He's my favorite. A little bit of spoiler. I think that he is a buy now, even though his lofty prices are big. And
he's going to make the club in spring training, probably.
Yeah, he's the man, and he's going to make a World Series team out of spring training.
He's the one guy that I think immediately with the new updated rankings leapfrogs Churio and Wood and ends right in that number 2 spot or right there with Jackson Holiday. Langford is a beast.
Agreed. And Chad's not a Rangers fan, so
I'm not.
And I'm listening to Lefty and Chad for all things baseball prospecting cards. So I'm excited for Wyatt Langford as well. I mean, as much as I would love Max Clark to be the guy, he just seems to be the Drew Jones of this year's class, which we'll probably get into a little bit in next week's show.
I think to more accurately describe him, not even Drew Jones. I think you know what? I'll save it. We'll save it. We'll keep
okay. Stay tuned for next week's show. But great question, Shane. Love it.
Love it. Let's stick with baseball real quick. One for you, Chad, from Brian Steeler 714. I know Bowman singles will drop in a month or so, but will the boxes also drop or go up?
No, typically boxes go up. So here's my play. I heard you guys, or I talked about this. I bought 2 jumbo hobby boxes. I got them delivered on Saturday. And you heard me say I can't wait to rip the crap out of them. I've watched a bunch of the early ripping, and it is not the return that I typically see. So here's my play. It's killing me to not rip these things open. I am holding these 2 boxes. I am going to sell them, and with the profits from the 2 super jumbos, I'm going to get a hobby box for free and then rip that, so I have 0 invested in my rip.
Ooh, that's interesting. Chad getting creative. I like that. That's really cool.
Good stuff there, Chad. Let's keep rolling with the baseball while we're on the topic real quick. Back to Lefty. I read somewhere that Bowman Chrome draft HTA boxes are supposed to be somewhat regional as far as hits. Is there any truth to this? And that's coming from Brian Steelers 714. What are your thoughts here, Lefty?
I have no proof to confirm nor deny, but I would imagine that would be super hard to do, and they already can't figure out all their production for things correctly. I don't think that this is even something that they could pull off if they wanted to.
Good stuff, Lefty. Heading over to Paul. I know we've talked a little bit about Purdy throughout the show. Mark D wants to know, he's got an optic hollow that got a PSA 8 and he cracked in a Purdy PSA 10 purple shock. Looking at the market, it looks like he's still going up. When would you guys sell and how? Auction / buy it now? I think sometimes, like we say, it matters specifically the right player and the right card. So these cards might have a little bit of a different answer from what we talked about earlier. What are your thoughts here, Paul?
Yeah, with the clarity that I have now on the 49ers, I would hold Brock Purdy for a Super Bowl run. To me, he's likely to he'll be in the conference championship game. I'd be shocked if he's not in the conference championship game. And so to me, he's a take it week by week and see what happens with the Niners. But I'm banking on a Purdy as a sell closer to the Super Bowl, if not the week of the Super Bowl, if the Niners make it. I think, they're dropping like flies, figuratively, to Lefty's point about they're going down on injuries, and then they're going to be dropping like flies when they get eliminated from playoffs. So there's only going to be 4 remaining for the conference championship game and then 2 remaining in the Super Bowl. I think Brock Purdy has just as good of a shot of any other quarterback in the NFL of being one of those last 4 men standing. So I'm looking at the conference championship weekend or the week leading up to the Super Bowl. Hold Brock Purdy for that. And then you know what? If it doesn't happen, I still think Brock Purdy, he's on they're a young team. And then I think that his prices could sustain throughout the offseason. So I'm higher than I've ever been on Brock Purdy. So hopefully that helps Mark D and everybody else out there. I think that Purdy's a hold right now.
I got to chime in here. I'm going to flag plant. Going back to the Overflow show answer from Friday, the answer with Brock Purdy is that you do not want to hold him till the Super Bowl, although he is a good chance of getting there. The 2 weeks where he lost and he looked terrible, teams figured out if you put pressure on an average quarterback, and he is a system quarterback, that's why he was Mr. Irrelevant. He's not this Mr. Great quarterback. If you can put pressure on him and fluster him, he is not good enough to make the adjustments. I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to put that pressure on him, but for 2 weeks in a row when he looked terrible, they pressured him. I think the teams, when it comes playoff time, they're going to dial up the pressure. They're going to figure out a way to get to him, and I'm not so sure he's going to make the Super Bowl. So here's my flag plant. Sell Brock Purdy on the first week of the playoffs. He's going to get a first-round bye more than likely. So I'm not saying wild card weekend. I'm saying the next round, the first game that the Niners play, sell at that game time. Don't take the risk that he looks terrible, that somebody figured out how to put pressure on him. You're better off to leave a little meat on the bone and let somebody else worry about that if they do make the Super Bowl. Take your profits during their first game of the playoffs.
Is he Chad Ramsey now, and I'm all of a sudden not Paul Ramsey?
I mean, I think I'm more with Crack here, so I think you're just taking a risky profile for once.
He's trying to get out of the Ramsey. He's trying to get out of the Ramsey mold. He doesn't like being Mr. Safe. He wants to be Mr. Exciting.
I don't know what it is, but I do know what it is. Because I think you guys are right, and I think that that's a phenomenal play. It's normally what I would say, 100%.
Lefty, let's give him another one. Ready?
But I think that Debo and McCaffrey going off a couple weeks ago just kind of opened my and just their defense. I just feel like even though Brock Purdy is a system quarterback, there's a solid chance that they could make it very far past that first game. And so I don't know if he makes it to the Super Bowl or not, but I don't know. I think for Purdy, I just don't know that I would sell that early. There's something about it. But again, I'm horrible at predicting games, which is why I am the Dave Ramsey of sports cards, which is why I normally would say exactly what Crack just said. So I don't know what's gotten into me on this one. But
I feel like I'm right in the middle of these two takes. Like I want to sell I think in my overflow answer, I said sell right before the first playoff game. I mean, a couple weeks ago in our 1K budget builder, I talked about Joe Montana because I believed that the 49ers were going to make a deep run and you could sell Joe Montana on a 49ers run because we've seen that in markers in his charting history in the past. When playoff games are won, his cards go up. And so I think that that's still with Purdy, but I want to bring up an interesting point here, Paul, that you flagged for me. You said you believe that he will sustain during the offseason, and I agree, specifically because when Joe Burrow was a young quarterback and people were excited about him, and he lost the Super Bowl, his prices sustained. We could not wait to buy into Joe Burrow that offseason, and his prices didn't really come down. The other guys came down, and the truthers knew that this was still a good team around him. And I think that's what you'll see with Brock Purdy as well. I don't think you'll see a shelf right after he does lose. I think it'll sustain similar to that of Joe Burrow's 2-3 years ago off season. So
unless they put pressure on him and he throws one or two picks and looks terrible.
No, I don't think so. I think he's better than you're giving him credit for. He's better than Love. I'll give you that.
One more thing on Brock Purdy. I just want to look this up real quick, and I'm not going to get too card specific. I'm going to look at his market, but his market has just been bananas, right? And so his 365-day market is up 29%, up 46%, 180 days, 90 days up 7, 60 days down 20%. 30 days up 14%, 14 days up 10%, 7 days up 4%. I think that I figured out why I have this Brock Purdy take, and it's because in my subconscious, I'm pulling from data that I knew was there, and I think, and based on what I just saw, that's what it is. His market is not up the way that it has been recently, and so even though he could be a sell right at that particular time that Crack's talking about. To me, he went down so much as a result of that now if you've waited this long to sell him, because I was saying sell Brock Purdy after like week 4. I was, like it was like get out of Brock Purdy time. So now I just feel like you're in this mid-season lull that we talk about where his market really isn't up. And now I'm wondering, does it not go back up without a conference championship and an offseason of hype? So I'm just gonna roll into my answer even more and double down on not selling Brock Purdy
World Series
during that first game. And I hope to God that I said something in the Overflow show that's aligned with this, because I don't even remember what I said in the Overflow show.
That's funny.
Good debate there, fellas. I'm gonna send this one to Chad. It's from Mark D. And the reason I'm sending it to Chad is because every time that Paul texts us in the group message and says, Did you guys buy? Are you guys buying these? Chad already has 5 of them by the time that message has hit the group message. So from Mark D, question: did any of you guys get into the out of 199 Caitlin Clark Tops Now auto point cards? Chad, did you get any of these?
No, I cried a little bit when I did not. I wanted to. I was driving when they hit. I was in transport mode, and when we stopped for gas and I saw it, I immediately went online and I was purchasing as many as it would let me, and they were already sold out. So I don't know how long they were up on the site, but it could have only been hours at most. because it was about 3 hours from the time that I got the email to the time we stopped for gas, and they were gone by the time I got online. So I missed out on that window. I wished I had gotten into it. So I did something that I would not recommend anybody else doing. As soon as I got to the hotel and I missed out on it, I felt bad. I went and I sniped a Bowman First Auto Caitlin Clark because I missed out on the top on the now. But I think I got a pretty good deal on it. But I was so upset that I missed it that I went and bought a Caitlin Clark auto anyways.
I would like to know from the audience, drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. If you've ever done what Chad did, where you miss out on one card and you had like the mental budget for it. So you're just like, screw it, I'm going to go buy another card. I like that.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I think Caitlin Clark's about to change the game for women's basketball. I think she's still a good buy right now. I had a debate with my friends the other day. I think right now, if you put her in the WNBA, she's a top 10 player. And she has that Steph Curry effect. She's just bringing fans. I was watching their games. So, I think she does a lot for women's basketball. I'm excited to see where those cards go for her in the future.
The Pistons are going to draft her, dude.
Yeah, with the me movement or whatever that me movement is or whatever, if she were to go in the NBA draft, she'd probably be a top 10 pick. And that meme was funny where she's going to be a Piston.
I love it. Yep. Up next, I'm going to toss you a quick softball, Lefty. And the reason that I'm tossing it your way instead of just answering is because we talked about this too in Overflow in terms of Jackson Churio potentially had several markers. He just signed the contract. I think it was 8 years, $81 million. It's from Alexander Ortiz. Is the time to sell Jackson Churio at the time of his call up, or are there other times that we should be looking at?
I'm gonna sell Jackson Churio during spring training because I believe he does make this Brewers team out of I talked about this on the Overflow show as well. So subscribe and get into the Overflow show answers because they are getting better every single week. I texted the boys earlier and I was like, our audience is leveling up and it is so fun to answer the Overflow show questions because you guys are diving super deep. But Jackson Churio is a guy I'm selling during spring training. I'm not going to wait for his actual call-up day, and here's why. I want to be first to the market with Jackson Churio. I don't want to be the bottom end of a bell curve. I want to be going up on the bell curve, and I'm okay with selling on the way up on a bell curve, and if I'm not at the very top, I'm okay with that because we bought in so gosh dang early that we are going to make massive wins, and this community is going to make Churio be our next Ellie De La Cruz, our next Indy Rodriguez, our next Victor Wembanyama. We have made some big flag plants in the past, and Churio now is going to pay off big for us.
But I do want to put an asterisk on this. And the asterisk is I, too, am going to – well, I got rid of 20 of them in my Giannis trade, but I do have 5 autos currently at PSA, and I did pick up a couple more base that I just sent off to PSA. But if at the beginning of the show where Paul said if you need to sell out of some stuff to make other plays, Churio is up high enough right now that you should be able, if you got in at the right time, you could potentially double your money or better. So if you need the cash flow to get into another play to keep the money rolling and for that bankroll to build, we would not fault you for selling Churio right now. We just believe that it's better to sell at call up. But if you need to cash flow something because there's another play you want and you can double your money, we can't fault you for that.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. If you're making money, we're never going to be disappointed.
Yep. And, Connor, I know you're trying to move us through here, and we appreciate that. I just want to say something real quick about this because these guys bring up good points. I just was doing a lesson for sports card school last night, and it was how to sell at the right time. And I walked the audience through 2 different lessons, and it was really doing a lot of research on the competition in the market to determine how to sell and when to sell. And I think Lefty talks about this a lot. So I just want to hammer home. It's a great point by Lefty to consider what your competition is going to be so you can be part of the supply when there is demand and not just part of a massive amount of supply when there's maybe not enough demand for the supply that's out there. And so when he talks about selling during spring training, it's not too far ahead of call up to where he's missing out on the hype. It's just a little bit safer than waiting until the call up announcement to be part of having his cards be part of like a massive amount of supply, right? So I think it's looking at what competition is out there at any given time and then determining what can I get for my card, and then how do I list it? Do I list it in a buy it now or best offer? That's another factor. Or do I list it in an auction? So it's a great question by Alexander, and I think it's something that we're examining on the Overflow show at Sports Card School, and you can certainly ask here on the Sports Card Strategy show. So appreciate it, Alexander. But Connor, you can keep us moving here as we round out the show.
Cool. I actually did want to make a point on the Overflow show. We've been mentioning it a lot. If you're a new listener and you're wondering what the heck is the Overflow show, it's our premium member show where we take your questions as premium members and give the best advice that we can possibly give to you guys. So if that's something you're interested in, head over to nooffseason.com and you can go premium there and get a 30-day free trial. But moving right along, we're going to stick with another one for Lefty. Building Time Machine says, recently got into soccer/football. What are the top sets? There's so many different ones. Merlin, Topps, Chrome, Donruss, etc. Lefty, what are some of the top soccer sets?
My favorite is Topps Chrome Champions League. Topps Chrome typically is one of the most traded in the soccer realm. Merlin is fine. It's a nice Chrome version. There's a lot of Topps paper out there as well, especially if you're looking at MLS cards. Don't do that. Donruss there's just a lot of crap among the hits. The hits are good, like the optic or the rated rookies and things are fine, but you're just going to get so much of this like dog water paper Donruss cards that you just don't want. So I would go with Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome Bundesliga is a nice one, especially if you're chasing some of the guys that are coming over from Dortmund. Like several years in the past, we've got Haaland and Pulisic has Dortmund cards, and then you've got Gio Reyna. There's Topps Chrome Bundesliga is good for that. Topps Chrome Champions League though is like premium, like that's where you want to be. So, but cool. Team sets also are a thing in soccer, and that's just kind of. There's just some teams that have Topps team sets. For instance, the Xavi Siemens is in a PSG team set. So it's not as cut and dry as it is in other sports.
Good stuff.
Soccer is tough to make money on. I think part of the reason why we don't have as much soccer content as we used to is because we had at least I personally suffered some pretty massive losses on soccer card prospecting early on. And I've just found it harder to make money flipping soccer cards just due to the market size and due to kind of the lack of selling markers. I think last week on the deep dive and then on today's show, both Lefty and Chad have done a really good job of helping people understand the opportunities in the soccer card market to make money. So I appreciate that. And, I think I just want to give a quick shout out here to Cloud City Records. Appreciate you chiming in. New name in the live chat, Jackson Churio, based on our recommendation. Same thing with Alexander Ortiz, who we answered his question a minute ago on Jackson Churio, but he traded a Myles Garrett Silver Prism rookie PSA 10 for 2 Jackson Churio Bowman Chrome first PSA 10s. I think that's a great way to move out of a particular card that might be desirable for someone's personal collection and actually move it into something that's flippable. So I really like that. All right, Connor, anything else in the audience QA before we wrap up today?
We have a really, as Lefty would say, granular question from Brian Steeler 714. It says, what is the highest we'd be willing to pay right now for a Jackson Churio Blue Sapphire base raw?
$50.
Chad was ready for that one. Love it.
Chad has marketmoversapp.com data embedded into his brain.
He is Market Movers.
Awesome. Yeah, I think he might be.
I mean, he corners the market with all his cards.
That's, when you have a million cards, you just keep hoarding them all, and eventually you've got the market. You've got a monopoly because you got them all.
Speaking of hoarding, I asked Gary V on the interview that airs this upcoming Friday, December 15th at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. What is the difference between a collector and a hoarder? Did I have Dr. Crack Chad Gill in mind? Not sure, but stay tuned for Gary V's answer on Friday. Everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. For Connor Barnett, head of content at nooffseason.com, for Lefty, McKee, Dr. Crack, and Duke Denny One-Time Dodson at Graybo's, I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. Everybody, check out the Wednesday Deep Dive. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Thank you all for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. Don't forget to get your free 30-day trial at nooffseason.com today, and you can get great information to help you build your sports card investment portfolio, as well as take classes at Sports Card School, sportscardschool.com. Don't forget to text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727 to get your sell alerts and your buy alerts. Also, we would love it if you leave us a positive review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Thanks for being part of the nooffseason.com family. Have a great day.